Hello everybody, back once again with another video. So this one is weirdest films in my collection. So I chose 15. A lot of them are foreign films. Could have chose most by David Lynch. Only got one by him. We got 3 by a certain director. A few honourable mentions. I think it's Hausu it's called, or House in English. It's like a Japanese, I think it's Japanese, Asian movie, which is just really wacky and bizarre. I think I've seen a few others down the years that I don't own. See if I can remember before the end of this video to show you. Yeah, I'm going to be reaching them from down here, so I'll bring them up. Not really in any particular order. So first, I think I spoke about this in my Tartan Asia Extreme, so Visitor Q. So film by Miike Takashi. I always say Takashi Miike, but yeah, Miike Takashi. So as you can see by the cover art, it's quite bizarre. But yeah, basically, I'll try not to go on for too long. I'll just give each one, let me step back a little bit, like a synopsis. So it's a family. Some guy called Visitor Q comes into their life, should I say. Throws a brick at the dad's head to get his attention. Then sort of comes to live with them and just keeps doing weird things and like testing them. But yeah, within this, let's see if it tells me. I mean, yeah, it just says on the back, outrageously perverse and truly unique. This transgressive experience will leave you shocked and stunned as it railroads taboos like there's no tomorrow. So yeah, I think I've said before, but yeah, it's like violence, necrophilia, a bit when a guy watches like a sex tape of his own daughter. I mean, she is like an adult to be fair, but still weird, isn't it? But yeah, it's a really bizarre one. I've got a few by Takashi Miike, so you've got The Happiness of the Katakuris. I think I've got the Tartan Asia Extreme, so you can see a bit more on the cover. It's kind of gone with like the Sound of Music style. Sorry, there's a bit of glare. I have got the light on in this room. A bit dark without it. Like I said, I ain't got a curtain yet in this new room, but yeah, it says the hills are alive with the sounds of screaming. So a bit of like a riff on Sound of Music. But yeah, it's basically, I think I've said this before again when I spoke about Tartan Asia Extreme and I did the ranking of my Takashi Miike films, but part zombie, comedy, horror, musical, drama. Very bizarre, but a really fun kind of film. People probably know I'm not too into musicals, and I do like that one. Then you've got a Ben Wheatley film, so A Field in England, all shot in black and white. Some real bizarre, I mean, the creepiest scene in it is when a guy comes out of a tent in slow motion. Doesn't sound creepy, but the way they shoot it, his face when he sort of comes out, it's just kind of gives you shivers up the spine. I mean, some of these, as you'll see later, are just kind of down to audience, what's the word, interpretation. Some of them kind of probably do have a plot, but they're kind of all over the place and not like a, what's the word, conventional structure, whereas this is a bit more of a normal film, but it's just some bizarre scenes as, what should you call it, bits with like, let's see if it tells me on the back, psychedelic, like it says, but, what is it cause, strobe lighting and things that could cause like seizures in people, I think. But yeah, obviously Ben Wheatley also makes Kill List, Sightseers, and Down Terrace. Down Terrace and Sightseers are kind of dark comedies. Kill List, really good drama, kind of elements of horror. One of my favourite films. Didn't make it in my top 15, but I will talk about Kill List. Hoping that gets a better release on like Second Sight or something. Then you've got another Takashi Miike, so Gozu. I've spoke about this when I showed some of my Tartan Asia and that. So, guy's got like a bit of a fascination with like breast milk and stuff. And then a man with a giant, it's not a spoiler, it shows you on the front, but a man with a giant cow's head comes. Then a woman who's literally lactating all over the floor in puddles and is spraying everywhere. He says on the back contains strong fetishized, I can't even say that word, fetishized sexual imagery. See if it tells you. Yeah, enter a surreal world of bizarre characters and unnatural goings on, where the only people stranger than the lactating inn owner and the autistic spiritual medium are the mysterious cow-headed demon and the yakuza who can't make love without a strategically placed ladle for added stimulation. So I'm guessing you could probably guess where he puts the ladle. Stuart George, I know, spoke about this one, The Island. So yeah, never really heard of this. I thought I'd heard of a lot of Michael Caine films, so I was quite surprised I hadn't come across this. But yeah, on the shelf, I was like, do I put in horror? Do I put in thriller? It's kind of hard to pigeonhole. Let's see. So yeah, that's like, I guess that's the original cover, and then it's got this really nice slip cover. I think it's Treasured Films. Yeah, Treasured Films. They're putting out some good stuff recently, actually. I don't know if it's a newer label. I've only got a few things by them, but yeah, it's basically. Tell me on the back, the book, the novel is written by Peter Benchley that writes Jules. I think one called The Beast about a giant squid. I think he also writes The Deep. So what George was talking about the other day, which he said weren't too great. But yeah, I'm assuming the book isn't that weird because Peter Benchley's books aren't usually that weird. I'm assuming it's the film adaptation, but yeah, go to an island where they've got their own language and just weird stuff going on, kind of unpredictable. Try and like, it's not a spoiler, but try and turn his kid into like a buccaneer. It's like pirate. Yeah, it's just very wacky, but still fun and still easily followable storyline, unlike some we'll see later. Then you got the baby. I think Sammy G did speak about this one, saying he watched it once, he wouldn't watch it again. So it is kind of disturbing. It's more of a drama. I think it's like late 70s kind of exploitation flick, but it's not a spoiler to say. But basically, I think it's two sisters and a mum have got this like younger brother. I don't think he's actually like what's the word? Got learning difficulties or anything, but they basically keep him in nappies in a cot and treat him like a baby. And then a social worker comes to like help him, and you know they don't like the social worker. Won't really tell you where it goes from there, but got some violence and stuff. But yeah, like a real kind of drive-in sort of B movie. Original cover kind of makes it look creepier. You see that with like adult's legs coming out of a cot. But yeah, I mean, a film about a man being treated as a baby wearing nappies and goo gagging is as weird as you can imagine, but the way it's filmed and stuff, really sort of grindhouse effect. And then the reflecting skin. So this is by Philip Ridley. I think I've seen a few other things by him. This has got like a conventional kind of storyline, as in, you know, it's plot and it sort of goes chronological timing, but weird imagery, weird script, a lot of what do you call it? Religious iconography. So a lot of the characters are called like Seth and tell me the name. I think they're all a lot of like Bible names. I did hear Philip Ridley, the director, he either did it himself or he got the crew to paint every single blade of grass in these shots. So it's all like sunburnt and kind of yellow. Judging by how weird the film is, I don't imagine that's a rumor. I expect he really did that. Then yeah, you can see this on the back. So it's what's this her name? Dolphin Blue. She's like a widow, and all the children think she's a vampire. And this scene here where she's got blood on her face is where the boys put a straw up, a reed is it called, like up the ass of a bullfrog, blow it up, and then hit it with a slingshot. It explodes all over her. Viggo Mortensen. So probably one of his like lesser known kind of films. Yeah, quite sort of some disturbing kind of creepy imagery. Some really bizarre, fantastic, amazing cinematography. Yeah, worth a watch if you haven't seen it. I hadn't heard of it until I seen it on a list of like weird films. Then you've got Dogtooth. I think this one is Greek. I'll show you the back. So yeah, some weird stuff. Basically, it's not a spoiler to say. A family. I mean, it's classed as darkly comic, but it's a family of a mum and a dad, and they basically teach their kids. They don't go outside, but they teach them outside. I think there's like killer cats. They tell the kids that are going to kill them, so they're like scared of cats, and then they teach them like the word we use for aeroplane. They call it something different, and then they tell them an aeroplane is like a sore on the bottom of your foot, and they just tell them all the wrong words for things to confuse them. There's kind of like incest themes going on, and one sort of brutal scene where they say you can't leave the house until you like lose your dog tooth once you come of age. So she tries, let's just say, to excavate her dog tooth quite brutally, and yeah, you kind of have to see this really to believe it. But crazy Greek movie. Let me quickly see who actually directs it. I was wondering if it directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. I was wondering if it was don't know if anyone's seen Singapore Sling. Really bizarre film, but I don't own it. Directed by I keep thinking this Nico Mastarakis, but that's the one that does this. I don't know if you can see it in the background. This Arrow collection also does Island of the Dead and .com Murder, I think it's called. So yeah, I get them mixed up, but he's weirder than Nico Mastarakis. This one I didn't actually really enjoy too much, but it is weird. Let's see if I turn the... No, sometimes I turn the actual cover around so it's different from the slip. So yeah, I think I spoke about this before and said it's basically like a load of kind of mixed media. So it'll show a bit of pop art and it'll be a bit of film and then some animated. It's just all over the place. Kind of a real like attack on your brain, but also bizarre plot. I mean, see, the year is 2035 and Special Agent Gargano dreams of leaving the CIA to open a business with his wife. Before he can hand in his resignation, however, a strange cyber virus attacks Psychobook, the CIA's operating system, forcing Gargano to enter cyberspace via virtual reality to combat the threat. Before long, however, the virus starts to reach out into the real world, destabilizing the fragile social political order for its own ends, and Gargano, trapped in the VR world, must find a way out before it's too late. Featuring encounters with an Irish accented Joseph Stalin, a kung fu fighting Batman, and Jesus Christ himself, to name but a few. Jesus shows you the way to the highway is absurd, audacious, and like nothing you've experienced before. So imagine David Lynch on acid, but not as well made. Let's see if I got these together, because these are all by, I think you pronounce it Alejandro Jodorowsky. So he's a Mexican. So you've got El Topo, which stars him. I think that's him there with the beard. I think it stars his son when he's really young. Doesn't really have so much of a normal storyline to these. It's kind of, what would you call it? Just like allegory, iconography through scenes. Kind of really poetic, kind of surreal, but not surreal in a David Lynch creepy alienated way. Surreal in more of like a Salvador Dali kind of impressionist sort of style. But yeah, really well shot and made. And I don't know if you can see that on the back, but yeah, some really weird scenes. Probably the most famous of these three. You can get those on Arrow, but I haven't upgraded them yet since the DVD, Holy Mountain. Let's see if we can see on the back some of the weird stuff going on. I think that shows a bit of nudity, but I don't think enough people watch my YouTube for it to get flagged and me to get banned or anything, but I've showed some things and spoke about certain subjects and touch wood not been in trouble before. Yeah, basically there's like a holy mountain. It's like a sort of temple, I guess you'd call it, like a religious sort of temple on top of like a big, I think it's a mountain rather than a hill, and you go up there and there's these challenges and trials and stuff they have to do. But let's read a little bit of it. Holy Mountain, Jodorowsky's follow-up to the hugely successful El Topo, is a surreal and provocative masterpiece of truly epic proportions. Its rich assortment of unforgettable images forms the basis of a fabulous and unrestrained exploration of humankind. Sex, violence, alchemy, war, religion, the search for self are the landmarks visited on this mind-bending trip. Previously considered lost, this cult masterpiece is presented here for the first time on DVD, fully uncut and digitally remastered. So yeah, I'd say this has got a bit more of a spiritual, religious kind of theme than like El Topo, and especially Santa Sangre. I think that's Sangre. Don't know what that translates to in, I guess they speak Spanish in Mexico. But yeah, really nice Severin. I don't know if I can open it. I have showed this one before when I first got it, but yeah, a bit more of, I wouldn't say conventional, weird scenes, but kind of follows a bit more of a normal storyline and timeline. Bit more of a normal trajectory, but kind of more of a horror film. There's one scene with an elephant. I won't really go into it, but that's quite shocking and disturbing. See if you can see some of those images on the back. Just bizarre, but yeah, I mean, I guess you come to expect that now of Alejandro Jodorowsky. See, Santa. Yes, I have also got it on this nice DVD. Who makes this? Mr. Bongo. But yes, put that one down. Let me see. Oh, it opens up like a book. I was nearly breaking it then, thinking it was a slipcase. You know, 2 discs. I think it's got the disc 1 and disc 2. I thought one was Blu-ray, one was no. It's definitely on a DVD, and yeah, it shows a few more. The weird. There's one bit you can kind of see it a bit on the back. I think it shows you on the inside, but I won't open all this up. Where it's basically somebody coming along on like a white horse through the night, and it's just really artistic. You've never really seen like that in many films, I wouldn't say. Right, only a couple more. So we got the obligatory David Lynch. So I could have chose a lot of it. I was tempted with Mulholland Drive. Mulholland Drive, more of like a, what do you call it? It's surreal, but it's kind of a puzzle. And inside the version my mate had, I haven't checked in my one for a while. It's got clues and stuff. So it's like, what's the fire above the fireplace at a certain point. So it has got a sort of timeline and an overarching story. It's just cut up and weird, sort of surreal dream style, whereas Eraserhead, more bizarre, more surreal. I think this is where the term sort of Lynchian comes from. This is a nice Criterion version. Can I open it? Comes with... Can't try not to faff around too much, but yeah, it comes with a really thick, nice book in it. Which you'd hope so, because this one cost me like $26.99. I think I've said on my David Lynch, well, I know I've said David Lynch ranking, that's my favourite David Lynch film. I mean, Mulholland Drive, Blue Velvet, Elephant Man are better made films, so with, you know, more of a normal storyline, but that one is just sort of the epitome of what I like, weird stuff from Lynch. Taxidermia. So it's Hungarian. Let's see if we can find, I think his name's like Georgi Palfi, I think you pronounce it. So he's Hungarian, so I've not seen many Hungarian movies. I wouldn't really say it's a horror, it's kind of more like a drama, but let's read the back quickly, because obviously I've seen these, but sometimes they can sum it up. I mean, it says here, one of the biggest head fucks ever committed to celluloid. 3 stories, 3 generations, 3 men, 1 bizarre and shocking universe. Orderly grandfather is a love-craving fantasist who lives off feverish dreams in his fertile imagination. Speed Eater father is a leading sportsman who for 4 years held first place in the category within the confectionery industry. He is still unbeatable in chocolate wafers with an individual record of 2.98. Taxidermist's son's weight at birth was just 1.5 kilos. Now he has less than 1.5 minutes left to perform the ultimate in auto-body modification procedures. Hilariously sick and outrageously deviant, this gross-out visual fest is shock cinema at its best. Contains gory images, real sex, and very strong language. So yeah, it follows. First is a kind of the granddad, but he's sort of doing weird sort of sexual things. I won't go into it, but it has got sort of real nudity and things. And then the next is his son, who's this guy on the back, really massive kind of speed eater. Keeps a load of cats in cages and feeds them butter. And then something happens later with the cats, which I won't go into, but it's quite visceral. And then the son of the speed eater, or the grandson of the sort of first guy that's into weird sex stuff, is a really skinny kind of weird guy with no social life, who's a taxidermist, and don't really spoil it, you can kind of see it there on the machine, but the last scene he sets up a machine that he stands in to sort of, when he clicks a button, it'll taxidermy him and cut him up and stuff all in one go. So yeah, it's quite gory and but just weird, just bizarre more than anything. Save this one to last, so I watched this one again the other day. I always knew it was weird. Still weird when I watched it, but a bit more gory and a bit more sort of challenging scenes than I remembered. So Tetsuo the Iron Man by Shinya Tsukamoto, one of my favourite Japanese directors. Also does A Snake of June and... is it The Isle? No, Vital. Yeah, so Vital and A Snake of June. Does a few others. I think you can get a box set from Arrow of his stuff, but it's like region 1 import from America and over like £100 on Amazon. I think I've seen it. But yeah, this is like cyberpunk. So I think this spawned the cyberpunk movement. So then you add, see if we can see it on here, Tetsuo 2 Body Hammer, which is kind of more like a colour sort of remake of it, but I still think this is more bizarre. Then you add Pinocchio 183, I think it was called, and Rubber's Lover. A few other sort of cyberpunk, but yeah, this sort of spawned it. Not really got much. I mean, it has got a plot, but it's hard to work out. It's kind of more a load of, it isn't random images, it follows a kind of story. I think I've said about this before when I did the Teenager Extreme, but a metal fetishist gets hit by a car by the salaryman, just like a normal working guy. Then the metal fetishist puts a curse on the salaryman, and he slowly starts turning into metal. But he's also like hallucinating, and there's this weird woman with a metal arm in the train station, chasing him around. It's a bit when he's sort of going to have sex with his wife, and all I'm going to say is part of him turns into a drill bit. And then she's got this like weird long metal tentacle that she sort of, let's just say, put somewhere he might not like. It's not so much about the graphicness that makes it weird. It is black and white. There is a lot of gore. Bit when he like cuts open his leg and then inserts like a metal bar, but the bar is like a kind of long screw, and he's scraping it across his teeth. This kind of bits that really make you a bit when she bites the fork, and yeah, if you're into sort of it makes you cringe looking at people like biting on metal and stuff, then this will get to you. But it's more of his soundtrack. So as he slides it across his teeth, rather than just making a normal noise, it's like a screeching. And then there's bits when someone runs and it will make the noise of a car speeding. Sort of a lot of stop motion. So when he's turning into metal, the metal's growing on him. They're doing it in like stop motion, kind of Ray Harryhausen style. And then one of the weird things of it is, I don't know if it's the stop motion, how they do it, but it kind of looks like they run along the street real fast. But I think they like film them sort of, it looks like they're floating, but they like just off the ground. But I guess they film them like moving slowly and then they speed it up. I mean, the editing, I've said this before, the editing, best editing I've seen in any film ever. Well, maybe not best, but most, what's the word? Adds the most to the film. So without the editing, the way it's edited, the way it's cut and shot, the way things move hyper fast, then in slow motion, kind of what makes the film. But yeah, the soundtrack, it sounds stupid that, there's bits when a guy will like go out of his hand and it sounds like a rocket shooting or like a firework, and it shouldn't work, but it does. It's surreal, it's artistic, it's quite disturbing, challenging. Yeah, there is gory scenes and some quite sort of brutal bits, but that's not really what makes it sort of overwhelming to the senses. It's more just it's coming at you thick and fast. It is only 60 minutes. Yeah, one of my favourite sort of Japanese / foreign, probably my favourite, maybe out of all these weird, maybe Eraserhead, kind of a bit more iconic. But yeah, I mean, I would recommend people to watch this. You've never seen anything like this. It is only 60 minutes, so if you hate it, it's not too long, but 65 minutes actually. I will say it is a assault on the senses. So it's not that old, it's not shot in black and white. Let's see if it tells me the year. Say in 2002, but I think that's when it was released through Tartan. Anything to say on there, but yeah, it's kind of a film you have to see it to believe it. But it is really well made, and if people are like studying film or you're at film school and you want to see how effective editing can be, how effective soundtracks can be, it kind of is plot driven, but at the time you're like, what the hell was going on? And when you read the back, you're like, oh, that's what went on. But yes, let me know if you can think of any others. A few I'll probably think of after this video. Be like, oh, I should have included them. Like I say, Hausu, the Japanese film, wacky. Quickly show you this before I go. Currently rearranging it all into alphabetical order. I was sort of just, putting A to here, then B to here. It was taking too long. So now I've done them into piles of numbers, A, B, C. And I'm going to stack them onto the shelves. That's all the DVDs. I've done the Blu-ray horror. I've done Tartan Angel Extreme all into alphabetical order. Done the foreign cinema. I've not kept them separate. I was going to keep the Japanese separate from the French or from the Greek or whatever, but I have just mixed them in. Got these horror DVDs all into alphabetical order now. I was going to keep it so the directors would be together, but I have kind of split the John Carpenter up. Might keep them separate on Blu-ray, but with a DVD. And then yeah, I've done the same with the Arrow. So rather than mixing like the big boxes with the sort of jewel cases and stuff, I've kept. See if I can get back a bit more. Obviously, there's all DVDs under my feet, but yeah, so it goes from sort of A to Y, I guess, on the big boxes. And then all these are mixed in. Done the same with the second site. The 101 films and 88 and Indicate. 88 I've put in, 88 films, should I say. I've put into alphabetical order, but obviously Indicator are numbered, so a Criterion, and so 101, so I've kept them in numerical order. A few of those. Cemetery, Mausoleum. Actually, Happiness and that is not. Oh, that's some of the criteria. Yeah, so they're done by numbers. But yeah, not too long, hopefully, until I've. So yeah, I didn't really want to mix the horror in with the non-horror, so I was thinking of keeping the animated sort of. So basically, when I went to the video shop, they'd have a section. I think they did have thrillers and comedies, but in general, it'd be like general films. So your thrillers, your comedy, your fantasy, family, drama, all together. And you'd have horror separate. Then you'd have sort of kids films and animated separate. I think I'm going to do it like that. So you say with the Blu-rays, yeah, Back to the Future will be next to like Bad Santa, which is next to Baby Driver. So a bit sort of mixed in. Then horror kept separate. And then animated. So say when my niece comes around, she can choose some like children's films, and then the horror's over there. So she won't have to sort of look at the horrors if it scares her. And this is a new cabinet I've built up. Which, sorry, my cat's litter tray's in the shot again. Which is all going to be TV series. Got a few of my VHS there, a few more pickups. I'll show those properly on a next pickup video in a few weeks. But yeah, it's obviously like Simpsons, 6 Feet Under, Mighty Boosh, a lot of British stuff like Nighty Night, a lot of classic kid shows, Count Duckula, Ren and Stimpy, Round the Twist, Erie, Indiana. Not alphabetized these yet, but Goodnight Sweetheart, Monkey Dust. I don't know if people remember that, but yeah, that's going to be all the TV shows on that one, which I've actually got more than I realised. So yeah, I'll do another update when I finished all this. But yeah, I've been working on that, so I've been quite busy. But background. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Comment down below if you can think of any other weird films. Goodbye.